All right, does everybody have their math workbook out?
Yep.
I think that I'm on the page where we left off.
243.
243? Okay. I thought that's what it was, but I wasn't 100% sure. So we've been talking about division, and we know that multiplication and division are kind of related, aren't they? We've talked about fact families and how they're related there too. We're going to continue talking about those same situations, those same sort of things. So let's read this word problem. A pet store had 18 hamsters. Ugh. The shop owner wants to put 3 hamsters in each cage. How many cages does the shop owner need for all the hamsters? I want you to draw a model, whatever way is easiest for you, to show how you need to solve that problem. So we started out with a big number, right? And we're putting a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit there. So are we multiplying or are we dividing?
Dividing.
All right, show me the picture that shows what we need to do. You're just drawing the picture because in 2 we'll be working on that equation. So just hold off on the equation, okay? It's looking like almost everybody, maybe it was everybody, did this. So there's the first 3 hamsters. Please stop chomping on your candy. Thank you. Now how many hamsters is that?
6.
3, 6. Now how many?
18.
9.
15.
9.
No,
12.
12.
15. I'm not there yet, am I? 18. So how many cages does the shop owner need for those 18 hamsters? Did we figure it out? Let's come down to 2 here, part A. Write a division equation for this that we just did up here. But what does it say? Use a question mark for the unknown number. So how many hamsters are there in all?
18.
And how many are going into each cage?
3.
And we have to solve for how many cages we need, right? So what's the unknown there? 18 divided by what? 3 equals question mark. I'm going to leave all this here, but I'm going to squeeze in my writing down here for part B. Now, we just wrote our division equation. Part B says write a multiplication equation for the problem. Use a question mark for the unknown number. What numbers do we know for sure? Everybody.
18 and 3.
Okay. Think about when we multiply. Do we start out with our big number?
No.
When we multiply, what do we start out with?
Our little number.
The smaller, the littler numbers, right? And what do we end up with?
The bigger.
The bigger number. So, what's a smaller number we know?
3.
3. Do we know the other smaller number yet?
No.
No. So what do we put in there?
Question mark.
3 times this number equals what?
18.
18. You have part C on your paper, and I do too, I just can't see it down here. But 18 says the shop owner needs cages. Well, did we figure that out up here?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So how many cages does the shop owner need?
6.
Write it down on part C. Got it? Good to move on? All right. Turn your page. Did you have to turn your page? I don't know for sure.
We have to bring food.
I know they're always showing their food off in our math book, aren't they? Oh, what does this look like?
Fact family.
Yeah, fact families. So find the value of each question mark to complete each fact. Ooh, is this one we need to know our multiplication facts to be able to help us figure out the missing numbers? So 24 divided by 3 equals question mark. 3 times that same number, question mark, equals 24. Question mark equals what? What would we write there? Did you figure out their craziness that they've got going on here? So they're saying this is the same number, right? What are we going to put here? It has to have these numbers, doesn't it? Because they're in these equations. But can I just randomly put them anywhere I want to?
No.
No. So what's going to need to go on those lines? Oh, I see what they're saying. What does the question mark equal? Duh, I even read the directions. What's the value of the question mark? What's that number that's missing? 24 divided by 3 equals this number. 3 times this number equals 24. So what is that missing number? Raylan?
8.
What do you think, Connor?
8.
What do you think, Amy?
8.
What does everybody think?
8.
All right. Let's look at 5. This number times 9 equals 54. 54 divided by this number equals 9. What is the number? Could we use the 9's trick to help us out with this? We have to end up with 54. So 9 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is this?
6.
6. Does 9 times 6 equal 54?
Yep.
So what is our missing number here?
6.
6. Everybody have that? Because I'm going to slide this up. Number 6. Oh, that was just our answer. How can you use the 3 numbers in a division equation to write the related multiplication equations? How does that work? Let's talk about how the multiplication and the division are similar to each other. Okay, so if we have in our division equation, should we just make one up? Let's make one up. 24 divided by 6. Anybody know what that equals? What does it equal?
4.
4. All right, so this is saying we have how many in all?
24.
24. What does this number tell us?
How many there are in each?
How many are in each group? And then 4 tells us there are
How many groups?
how many groups there are. So if we would write this as a multiplication equation, what would it look like? Natalia?
4 times 6 equals 24.
Is she right? So 4 groups with 6 in each group is a total of 24.
Yep.
Could it be written like this too? What would be the other division equation?
24 divided by 4 equals 6.
All right. Now, we're just going to do that for 6. Look down at 7. You're going to use the numbers 7, 8, and 56 to create a fact family. So it's going to have 2 multiplication equations and 2 division equations. So create the fact family that goes with this. Don't let your neighbor see what you're writing. How many multiplication equations?
2.
How many division equations?
2.
Everybody have it?
Yep.
Okay, what's one of the multiplication equations, Jenny?
7 times 8.
Equals what?
56.
Thank you. What is another multiplication equation, Raylan?
8 times 7 equals 56.
Do you agree with the 2 girls that gave us these equations?
Yes.
All right, let's talk division now. Lucas, what's one of the division equations?
56
And a second equation, Connor.
56 divided by 7 equals 8.
Do you agree with the boys on those two equations?
Yes.
You should, because they're correct. Alrighty, moving on. For now, I want you to carefully tear this paper out and just slide it under your book. So this is the back side. So you're tearing that out, sliding it under your book for right now.
Oh, I did it perfectly.
Okay, are we ready? Let's move on. We're now looking at page 247 that has the flowers and those flower pots there. It says complete these problems on your own. It says Ed plants the same number of flowers in each pot at the right. Write two, how many? Two multiplication equations and two, how many? Two division equations that are being shown in this picture, okay? So looking over here, what two multiplication equations could you write and what two division equations could you write? Do that now. We're just creating a fact family. When your pencil is set down, I'll know that you're finished with that one. Okay, look at 2. Explain. Yasmin sees 63 divided by this number equals 7 and thinks there are 63 things in all that are divided into groups. There are 7 in each group. Explain how Yasmin can use multiplication to help her find the number of groups. How can she use multiplication? Actually, just show me the multiplication sentence that would, if you need to draw a picture, I guess you could. But this comes to the point where, friends, you just have to have those multiplication facts memorized. So go ahead and write the multiplication equation that goes with that. They have the division equation. You write the multiplication equation and figure out what the question mark is. Okay, part 3 says analyze. Marissa has 4 boxes of markers, with 6 markers in each box. She wrote the following equations. So look carefully at those equations. There's one way that her equation is written. There's one equation that goes with how the wording in the problem is. Okay? Circle the number in each equation that shows the total number of markers. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Which number is the total number of markers? Circle that right now.
Wait, all of them? In each equation?
In all of the equations. Do you have the total number circled in each of those equations?
Yep.
Okay, there's another direction that we have to follow here. Put a box is just like a square, right? Put a box around the number in each equation that shows the number of groups. Which number shows the number of groups? If you're not sure, look back up into the word problem.
Does it have to be on every single?
In each equation, it says. Put a box around the number in each equation that shows the number of groups.
That's fluffy. So if it's like 6 times 4, but the word problem says 4.
You have to go by what the problem is saying.
Yeah.
Then underline the number in each equation that shows the number in each group. Remember, we're going off of what the words up here tell us. So you have a number that has a circle around it in each problem, a number that has a square around it in each problem, and one that's underlined in each problem. Let's look at 4. I think you have to turn your page, don't you?
Yep.
It says use what you have learned to complete problem 4. Look at the division equation. 15 divided by 5 equals, we don't know. That's what we have to solve for. Write a multiplication equation you can use to solve this division problem. Use a question mark for the unknown number. So whatever this is, that's the unknown number, right? So that's question mark is still being used in your multiplication equation. So what would your multiplication equation be if you wrote it out? Do that right now. That was part A. Those of you that aren't following along and paying attention, you probably should. Part A said to write a multiplication equation. So those of you that did a division equation, are you following the directions? Nope, because they already did a division equation for you. You are writing a multiplication equation.
Do we use the question mark?
Is that what the directions said to do, friends?
Yes.
Yes. Now, draw a model that could help you solve the division problem. So, draw whatever model you need. Maybe you're going to do an array or equal groups. Does it matter?
No.
No. But does it need to be shown correctly?
Yes.
That is part B. All right, then solve the problem down here. 15 divided by 5 equals, write that number down. Okay, for 5, we have to write a story problem that goes with this division equation. Okay, so we're starting out with how many? 35. And what is the 7 telling us? How many there are in each group, and we have to figure out how many groups there are then. Okay, so let's turn this into a word problem. We'll say our class will be the people in this problem. So who? Our class has how many? 35. Oops, I forgot has. Has 35 M&Ms, Jolly Ranchers, Oreos, books. Our class has 35 books. What will we say next in our problem? Amy.
There are 7 students in our class.
We'll just say there are 7 students. What's our question going to be then? There's 35 books in the class. There's 7 students. So what should our question be? Lucas?
All 7 of them want to split into 2 equal groups.
We need to ask a question though, because we have to answer a question. Jenny?
How many student reads? No. How many books does each student read?
I'm going to say each student get.
Okay.
Okay? Does everybody have the word problem? A few people are still writing. I want you to write a multiplication equation that would go with this, just underneath the word problem. And then go ahead and solve it.
Do we use the question mark for the unknown number, or do we find the question mark for the unknown number?
Go ahead and find the question mark for that unknown. Because if we use multiplication, what number would we write first?
7.
7. We know that one, don't we? Do we know the other one quite yet? What does it all equal? 7 times this number equals 35. Do you guys know what 7 times whatever equals 35? Do you know that missing factor?
Yes.
What is it, everybody?
5.
Yeah, in the next part that we'll be going on. If you want to tear that out, you can. That next page, 249. You guys are already familiar with, oh, that's the end of that lesson, that's why. But you see that multiplication chart on that page? Do you guys already know how to use a multiplication chart?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're already a step ahead in this next lesson. That'll be super simple for us. Okay, here's what you're gonna do. You have 2 pages torn out of your notebook now. Or your workbook, excuse me. You can put your workbook back in your crate. Not yet, but in a minute, might be a little longer than a minute, but here soon, this one's gonna go in your mailbox. I'm gonna partner you up, and you're gonna complete the page 245, 246 with a partner. Okay?